First tonight, after days of mounting anger in Minneapolis over the killing of another U.S. citizen by federal Border Patrol agents, there are signs the White House may be changing its tone. It's come in the face of sentiments from Republicans, Democrats, and protesters alike who've called the killings disgraceful. The White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, in her briefing to reporters, placed the blame of Alex Pretty's recent killing on poor politics and hostile resistance by Democrat leaders in Minnesota. She accused them of spreading lies about federal law enforcement officers. But President Trump himself appears to be making moves to de-escalate the crisis. He said he'd had a good call with the Democrat governor of Minnesota, Tim Walz, and that they were on a similar wavelength. He's also sending his border czar, Tom Homan, to Minneapolis. It comes as the city's mayor announced that some of the federal agents would start leaving the area today, reportedly including Greg Bavino, the man who's led the immigration roundups.
I'm really angry. I'm angry and I'm sad like all of the time. I'm a university student. I can't focus on my classes. I have a lot of friends who are really scared to go outside right now, regardless of their citizenship status.
A lot of folks just frankly don't feel safe going outside right now, which is absolutely important. So what we're trying to do, and what I'm really trying to help with, is getting supplies like groceries, winter clothing, that kind of stuff. Otherwise, we've been involved in this ICE patrols, which is very basically where people will walk around and report instances of ICE sightings that they see on campus.
I think what's important is that we keep showing up and showing everyone that we're not going to stop, and there's only one way this ends, and that's with ICE leaving. The Twin Cities belong to us, it doesn't belong to them, and together we're going to take it back.
We will not stop until ICE is out of Minneapolis and out of this country.
Down with deportation! Down with deportation!
That's why President Trump spoke with Governor Walz directly this morning, and he has outlined a clear and simple path to restoring law and order in Minnesota. Number one, Governor Walz, Mayor Frey, and all Democrat leaders should turn over all criminal illegal aliens currently incarcerated in their prisons and jails to federal authorities, along with any illegal aliens with active warrants or known criminal histories for immediate deportation. Number two, state and local law enforcement must agree to turn over all illegal aliens who are arrested by local police. And then thirdly, local police must assist federal law enforcement in apprehending and detaining illegal aliens who are wanted for crimes, especially violent crimes. If Governor Walz and Mayor Frey implement these common sense cooperative measures that, I will add, have already been implemented in nearly every single other state across the country, Customs and Border Patrol will not be needed to support ICE on the ground in Minnesota.
White House Press Secretary there, Caroline Leavitt. Well, for more on this, I'm joined now on the line from Vermont by Arise Special Correspondent James Blue. Good to see you, James. So according to President Trump, he's had a good conversation with Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and the mayor of Minneapolis, Jacob Frey, and they're all on a similar wavelength. So a change of tone by the White House, sounding a bit more conciliatory, although Caroline Leavitt didn't sound too conciliatory there.
Yeah, Charles, good to be with you this evening. It does appear that there's a change of tone, and it does appear that there's a change in practice. What President Trump has done is to send out his top person who is in the sort of Department of Border Control, that's Tom Homan, and he's asked Tom to kind of liaise directly with him. The White House recognized that yesterday, and after the killings of the bystander on Saturday, that they were really sort of out of their league in terms of upset, in terms of the footage going across the country. and just people saying this is not what we expected with the murder and the killing of Alex Pruitt. I think the White House recognized that they needed to do something different, that they needed to find a way. So these pictures are ICE agents or Border Patrol agents moving to a home. They're all geared up, they have guns. And this just isn't what the administration wants to see. They want to sort of dial back the sort of anger, dial back the tension. And the hope is by sending in a new person on the ground to lead it, that that will be possible.
So, I mean, just to take that line further, I mean, how much do you think this will diffuse the situation? Because immigration is clearly a very polarizing issue in America.
Yeah, immigration is very polarizing. And I think what happened was that they sort of took it too far to see these sort of masked men going around the entire city of Minneapolis and St. Paul and just sort of moving and getting people just like the scene here. That's just not what people thought that this sort of immigration escalation was going to be. It turns out that people want a much more orderly and a much more different type of implementation. And the hope is by removing the sort of officer, Mr. Bovino, who was specifically responsible for the on the ground pursuit of illegal immigrants, that this will sort of change things, change the tone. I mean, regardless of what happens in terms of actually being on the ground, the fact that the president spoke with the governor, he spoke with the mayor, he's recalled some of the people who were considered the bad actors. He's called for an investigation of the most recent shooting. And so it's just a really different stance that they've taken as it relates to the situation in Minnesota.
And James, some critics have said that it doesn't matter who Mr. Trump sends to Minneapolis. Border Patrol agents are not meant to work in cities because they're not trained to work in urban environments. So using them is the wrong tool for what they've been trying to accomplish. I wonder what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, Charles, that's one of the issues in that they have sort of created the need for such a surge that they have all of these officers and all of these law enforcement officials, some of whom have no experience in policing. And that's really what you're seeing happen sort of day in and day out with the inability to control crowds, the unfortunate issue of shooting people who were just bystanders and protesting. And so that is the issue. And what the Trump administration is doing is asking for the local governments, the state governments, to cooperate more, to provide some of the policing protection, to allow them to do the extractions and to do the immigration pickups that they would like to do. And so the real kind of conflict and the real place where it really became an issue is that these people that you see on the screen now are not used to having to deal with the public. And because they didn't know how to deal with the public, that's where things sort of got out of control. And unfortunately, lots of people have been arrested, and ultimately, 2 people are now dead because of their inexperience in this particular type of effort.
James, I know you've got to run in a minute, but do bear with us. We want to get your take on this next story, and we're going to stay in America because at least 20 people are reported to have died during a severe winter storm that's brought plunging temperatures to much of the United States. The freezing weather has left hundreds of thousands of people without power and caused huge disruption to travel. Officials have been struggling to address the impact the storm is having on the country's energy network. And Arise special correspondent James Blue is still with me on the line from Vermont. What's the latest on the impact of that winter storm?
Yeah, the storm is really quite still with us, and it's the plunging temperatures that's really sort of the real main issue around the country. And I think here in Vermont, we've had 3 to 10 inches of snow this morning. We think there are going to be 3 to 7 more inches today. There's a storm coming later tonight. Wind chills are at sort of below zero. Across the country, flights are still sort of being delayed. Over 1 million customers have lost power in the US. 10,000 total flights have been canceled. In Philadelphia and New York City, they've had the heaviest snowfall that they've ever had in 5 years, since February of 2021. And that's 1 to 2 feet across both cities. And I think the biggest problem is across the South, where there's been a lot of snowfall, and the southern cities and the southern states just aren't able to manage and cope with that type of rain, that type of snowfall. And that's really been a big issue in the places where people can't get out, their power is off. Some are predicting that power won't be turned back on in some places for a week to 10 days. And so when you have that cold weather, when you don't have power, you don't have an ability to keep your food cold. It really is a sort of dire situation for many people.
I think you meant keep your food warm, and we hope you keep yourself warm, James. Thanks very much indeed. James Blue is Arise Special correspondent. He was talking to me on the line there from Vermont.